What's up, guys? It's Sode back with you for Tuesday, April 15th. Oh, man. I got to come up with a better intro, right? It's the same intro every single time. I got to come up with a more, I got to add some more, something better to this show, man. I don't even know. Not just better production quality, but more entertainment value to it or something. Yesterday was a slight winning day. We went 3-3, I think, yesterday, but it was a slight win. Montreal in hockey probably shouldn't have laid the puck line on that, although I had the reasons for it. I mean, Chicago does give up a ton of shots, a ton of goals. Montreal had a 2-0 lead, so it was looking pretty good early on, but they blew it. And really, Montreal, if they got out of that game with an overtime loss and got out of there with just that point, that was probably going to serve them decently as far as making the playoffs. They still have not eliminated Columbus, but that helped Montreal, at least the fact that they, even though they lost, they took the game into overtime, which was really the minimum goal there. But I did think they still wanted to win that game, but that didn't happen. San Francisco Giants, I was correct. That was a winner, I believe. Boston Red Sox was the worst one of the day, man. I mean, I just don't get it. Like, Tanner Houck, this guy should no longer be employed. I mean, what is going on here? Like, he has not been good since the first half of last year. He had one good half a season, and you give him accolades, and then he just sucks from then on. Like, what is he even doing on a major league roster at this point? If he goes and faces a team that has a weak lineup who historically doesn't do anything against him, and he gets bombed for like 11 runs in 2 innings or whatever the hell it was, just get rid of him. He should not be employed anywhere. Maybe Walmart wants him. He can go greet some people over there. Tanner Houck should be out of Major League Baseball. He's as bad as Patrick Corbin. Fuck him. The Red Sox organization sucks. They're refusing to spend any money on like actual good players. Tanner Houck is not it. Just I want him gone. Fuck that guy. Fuck the team. Kansas City, very unfortunate with that one, really. I mean, the Yankees won the game pretty easily, but I'm just shocked that Carlos Carrasco pitched well in any way in that game, and he pitched well, and that's what happened there. And then we did win the other two with the St. Louis Cardinals. That was an easy win. And then San Diego, baby, where I faded the professional betting sentiment, it seemed like, and now in the professional bettors, it seemed like a numbers play for them. Like, well, San Diego's just favored by too much. I mean, okay, but it's Dylan Cease against Jameson Taillon, and I know they pitched fairly equally in the game, and it did come down to the bullpens, and San Diego won the bullpen battle, but that's why it was a full game play, man, because the situation I thought was really bad for the Cubs. So that's just that's the way it is. So that got me the win. It got me the win on the day because 2 of the losses were money line underdogs. So it was a small win. Let's go to today. I got 7 plays here today. Let me bring it up. All right. Let's go to hockey. Try to get through this fast. My Boston Bruins, I believe this is their final game. I think it's their final home game, hosting the Devils. The Devils don't have a whole lot to play for. I mean, they're pretty much locked into this 3 spot in the Metro now. They're in the playoffs at this point. They don't really, I don't think they can advance at all, and I don't think they can fall out at all either. So they're pretty much stuck there. So they don't really have anything to play for except for the fact that I believe the Bruins just went into New Jersey and beat the Devils in their place 7-2 not long ago. So it might be a little bit of a revenge game. Yeah, there it is right there. Not long ago. Could be a little bit of a revenge game. I mean, I might lean slightly New Jersey just for that reason. New Jersey down from -140, -135. 50% of tickets, but 96% of the cash on them. So the money may be indeed coming in on the Devils. I mean, they are the better team. They might want to actually show up and maybe like see this as like a tune-up coming into the playoffs here. As the Bruins, I mean, they will have Swayman back in net, but this is their final home game in a terrible season for them. So I don't think there's anything to really see there. Toronto, I would lean against Toronto. I would look towards Buffalo, and the money is coming in that way. So the line is crashing on Toronto, down from -165 to -155. 86% of tickets, only 57% of the cash. Toronto doesn't need this game, I don't believe. They're pretty much they're essentially locked into the 1 seed in the Atlantic at this point. I don't think there's that much shifting that can go on here. I mean, I think it's possible Tampa Bay can catch them. Highly unlikely. Buffalo finishing out the stretch here. The only issue I have here is that Buffalo is returning home from a road trip, so it's not really the easiest spot for them. Well, they did stay basically on the East Coast. They went to Columbus and then down to Florida, but they are also playing in a pretty jammed schedule right now where they're playing fourth game in 6 days, I believe, here, all in different cities. So that's not really easy to do either. So lean to Buffalo, but I will stay away from that, and it's just because of motivation. Like Toronto, I don't think really needs the game. And I believe Toronto just beat Carolina. Yeah, they did. So they beat Tampa, Montreal, and Carolina, coming off 3 big wins in a row. So it could be a little bit of a letdown spot or spot where they don't focus as much. Chicago's on a back-to-back, of course, because they were in that game against Montreal. Won at Montreal last night, and now they're going over to Ottawa. I mean, not a long trip, but bad spot for Chicago just because it is a back-to-back. Ottawa, they don't need to win this game, man. Even though they're a huge favorite, but they're down from minus 320 to minus 290. They do have more of the cash percentage on them. I don't know if we can really take anything away from that, but Ottawa, I think they already have a playoff spot clinched, and I think they're pretty much locked into the one wild card spot. Although I guess it is technically possible they could actually overtake Florida to get out of the wild card spot, but I mean, likely they're going to be a wild card. Columbus still has to win, obviously. They're at Philadelphia, but you're paying a price laying minus 140 for Columbus, up from minus 102 to minus 143. I can't quite bring myself to do that, although Columbus, I mean, they're still in a must-win, so the motivation is going to be there. But now they're coming off back-to-back wins against Washington, so they've won 4 in a row. But, I mean, that could take a lot out of you, beating the top team in the conference twice in a row like that, or the team with the top record, at least, in the conference. You're definitely paying a tax because everybody knows Columbus needs to win. Philadelphia does suck, but maybe Philadelphia will show up for a home game to finish off the season and show up a little bit with a little bit of motivation, at least to give their fans something. I'm not even sure this is their last home game, though. Let me see. It is, actually. So it is Philadelphia's final home game. So I don't quite want to do it with Columbus. Again, you're paying a tax for it. They are still the only team that has motivation, though, so I would not want to fade them, of course. Florida and Tampa Bay are playing. Both teams, I think, are going to be motivated in this one because Tampa Bay is only 2 points ahead of Florida, so they could flip. Although, then again, does it really matter? The difference between the 2 seed and the 3 seed, does that matter that much? I don't know. Maybe, because I think both of these teams are a bit better at home, so maybe they will want home advantage here. And it is Tampa Bay who is at home here, and they're up from minus 170 to minus 180. 78% of the cash on, 50% of tickets evenly split. So the money is coming in on Tampa. And interesting, the odds makers are basically telling you Tampa is the better team, even though Florida are the returning champs this year. Some of it's home ice, but obviously not that much of it. So the odds makers still telling you Tampa is the better team, or at least in the spot they are. That game's on ESPN as well. It's one of the 2 ESPN games, and I will be on the other one, even though I think I'm giving up some value on the other one. Florida may have some motivation, though, just because they could drop into the wild card potentially as well. So if they win this, they'll basically ensure that they avoid the wild card. So they do have that to play for. Washington is at the Islanders, and obviously this looks strange seeing the Islanders as the favorite as they're the worst team, but it makes sense, although the Islanders are down from minus 110 to minus 108, and the cash is actually coming in back on Washington. 86% of the cash, 75% of tickets on the Islanders. Washington has nothing to play for at this point, though, man. I mean, they've clinched, I think they've almost clinched the top seed in all of the East, and they've clinched the top seed in their division in the Metro with a 10-point lead over Carolina. So Washington really does not have a whole lot to play for. Of course, the Islanders are eliminated, so they don't either, but it is one of their last home games, so they do at least have that as far as motivation is concerned. It is their last home game as well, but for them, it's a 3rd game in 4 days, all in different cities, and actually a 4th and 6th. So they are in kind of a difficult spot as well. St. Louis, I mean, they're going to have motivation now, man. St. Louis has lost in 4 games in a row, so now they're sitting potentially about to get knocked out by Calgary here, which would be crazy. After St. Louis, I mean, it's been a roller coaster season for them, man. I mean, it looked like they were definitely not going to make the playoffs. They got former Bruins coach Montgomery, started playing really well with him, went on a huge hot streak, winning 11 games in a row to put themselves, I think, in the top wild card spot at one point, and they were almost above being in a wild card spot. And now Since then, they've crashed back down, and they're almost about to fall out of the playoffs again with 4 straight losses. But this is a tough spot for them, man. St. Louis certainly has the motivation here because they're trying to make the playoffs, obviously. But they're returning home from a tough road trip where they went 0-3, 3 straight losses, not 4. 0-3 on the road trip. Pretty brutal there, and they are returning home. They do have 2 days off, though, and it is their final home game, and they absolutely need the game. But because of that, you are paying a tax for them. They're sitting down from -165 to -164. Very public, though. 91% of tickets, 98% of the cash. It looks like. I don't know if that's accurate at all, but I would not want to play in St. Louis here. I mean, you're just paying too much of a price for it. Same thing with Minnesota because they still basically need to win to ensure they're going to be in a wild card spot. As they're only 1 point ahead of St. Louis, so they're in danger of falling out as well. They're laying a huge price, which I would not want to pay because I do think Minnesota's overrated. Up from -260, -261. They're playing a bad Anaheim Ducks team, though, so they should be able to win the game. 88% of tickets, 97% of the cash coming in on them, but I really don't think it's worth the price. And I have 2 plays, and then the 2 games left I haven't talked about. I'm going to play on Calgary. I mean, yeah, Calgary needs to win as well, so there might be a little bit of a tax there, but you're paying a pretty cheap price for them because they are hosting Vegas, and Vegas is a good team, and Vegas isn't quite locked into their spot either. I mean, they're almost locked in, so they don't have a whole lot to play for here as they are sitting atop the Pacific Division here by 4 points over LA right now. So they're sitting pretty well. They're obviously guaranteed to be in basically one of those top 2 spots in the Pacific right now. So I don't think it matters that much to them. This game obviously means way more to Calgary, as Calgary is sitting on the outside looking in. They need the game, but you're not really paying that much of a price for them. You're basically just paying almost a pick-em price to win the game. So I'm fine with that. You're not being taxed too much here. They are up from -105 to -113. So you may be paying a little bit more for them as the day goes on. Vegas is also coming off a couple wins in a row. They're not any huge wins, but they've pretty much secured themselves that spot. Now they have to go out on the road. A couple days off, so they are rested, but that extra day off might kind of hurt their momentum a little bit. And I know you're usually focused when you go out on the road, but they did just beat Calgary in the same venue 10 days ago. So it's actually a little bit of a revenge spot for Calgary as well. Vegas just played at Calgary and Vancouver recently and beat both of them. So I don't know that there's a whole lot to take away from that here. I know normally I would say it's a focus spot for them, but in this case, it may actually not be. And they may actually rest Aiden Hill as well, who's their better goalie. They've been playing Schmidt intermittently there, and I don't know if it's going to be him or not because they do have extra days off there. But Calgary, again, it's all about the fact that they're trying to make the playoffs, man, and they're on a nice 2-game win streak, and they're not traveling. So they are staying at home. They have 1 day off. I mean, they're decently rested as well because they've had a day off in between these games. Coming off a win over San Jose, pretty easy win. They've had Wolf playing a lot of games recently, though, so maybe a little bit concerned that he might be tired, or they might put Vladar in this one. But Vladar has been fairly good. They've won their last 3 games with Vladar in net, so that's not that bad either, and 4 of the last 6 with him in net. So we're going to go with Calgary, man. I mean, the motivation is much stronger on their side, and you're paying a price that's just asking them to win the game. So that's what we'll do. And then I told you I was losing a little bit of value on this, but I am going to play Seattle -102. You might be able to get them at a slight underdog price, but man, this line has crashed on the Kings down from -150 to -107. But when it's in the neighborhood of basically just a pick 'em price, maybe a slight underdog price, I think this is worth it. I mean, the Kings, they're almost locked into that 2 spot in the Pacific with a 4-point padding between them and the other spots around them. So they're not likely to move around very much. So I don't think the motivation is very strong for them. For Seattle, it is their final home game, and it is their 2nd game back home. And I know they did win in a shootout against St. Louis in their 1st game back, but this is their final home game, final game of the season, and they're hosting it on ESPN. So I think they're going to step up for this. And because Grubauer played in net their last game, they're probably going to have Decord back in net, and he is their better goalie. So I think you're getting a good kind of confluence of situational angles here on Seattle here. 2nd game back home usually do well, even though they did already do well in the 1st game back. But again, you're going to be focused for all the reasons I just said. You got a playoff team coming into your place. It's an ESPN game. It's your last game of the season. I think you're going to go all out and try to give the fans something and win this game. that win against St. Louis could just give them a little bit of a positivity coming into this game as well. And they have some rest coming off of that, even though that was a win over a team that might very well be a playoff team. Obviously, LA is a playoff team as well. They did just win at LA. So technically, it is a little bit of a road revenge angle for LA, but I don't know that that's really going to be a huge motivator for them. I mean, LA has won 3 in a row, and they just crushed Anaheim, beat Colorado, and then they shut out Edmonton last night. They beat Edmonton 5-0 with Kemper in net. So you're likely going to get Rittich in net this time, who is their lesser goalie, although they have won most of his recent games. But Kemper is their better goalie. So you're going to get an unrested LA team. It's traveling from Edmonton to Seattle, playing a third game in 4 days, all in different cities, a back-to-back. Fourth game in 6 days, although the first 2 are at home. So it's not a great spot for them. And they do have their home finale, which is also on ESPN in 2 days. So I think the spot, it just matters more to Seattle, in my opinion. LA, I think it's a letdown spot and maybe even a sandwich spot because Calgary might make the playoffs as well. So I don't like it at all for LA. The line is completely crashing on them and indicating on Seattle. So we'll take Seattle. Let's go to NBA. The NBA play-in games are starting, man, which I don't want to consider them playoff games really, but we got the play-in games. First game is Hawks and Magic. Magic hosting this game up from 5-5 with juice. Money coming in on Orlando. I don't disagree with it. I do lean to Orlando here. 63% of tickets, 71% of the cash coming in. Money is also coming on the under in both of these games, by the way, because I think the feeling is this is a playoff environment now. So you're going to get defensive intensity across the board. Teams are coming into this rested. So you're not going to have tired defenses really, with teams having a couple days off within the last few days. So I agree with those moves to the under as well, though the totals have dropped enough that you're losing a little bit of value on them. So I think the sides are kind of the stronger plays at this point. I agree with the Magic. The Magic just lost to the Hawks, but there's nothing you can really take away from that game because both teams are already locked into this game, so they already knew exactly what their matchup was going to be in the play-in, so they had nothing to play for in this game. So neither team wanted to show their hand, so both teams played all backups. So the fact that Atlanta beat them doesn't really matter much. That was at Atlanta. Atlanta won by double digits, again, with all backups on both sides. It doesn't really matter. Atlanta shot like 50-something% from the field as well, so they shot a little bit more than what you would expect. Orlando, they're still a young team. They at least got playoff experience last year because they did play in a playoff series. So this is not totally unfamiliar to them, although Atlanta may have a little bit more experience on their side. Atlanta is the worst defense, though. Orlando is the much better defense, and Orlando was quite good at home in the playoffs last year. I believe they won all 3 home games. They're decent at home this year, above 500, although not really dominant at home this year. But again, Orlando was dealing with a ton of injuries throughout the year, and they got most of these guys back now, except I don't think Suggs is coming back, but they do have Banchero and Wagner back, so they do have their top 2 players back. They'll be playing in this game. This game, of course, the way these 2 games work is that the winner of this will get the 7 seed in the actual playoffs. The loser will play again, and the loser will host a game against the winner of the 9-10 game. That's the way that it works. So I do think the Magic will win this game, though. All that being said, Orlando did win their last home game against Atlanta, which wasn't that long ago. The line was right about where it was here. I think it was 5.5. Orlando won and covered, but Orlando did shoot pretty well in that game, so it is possible they regress a little bit. They did also have a ton of free throw attempts in the game, but I'm not sure that that's not going to happen here because I think Orlando does play pretty well in the paint, and you might expect them to get some calls at home. So I don't know that they won't have the free throw advantage again in this one. So lean there. My actual play in the NBA, I do have one. I'm going to lay the points with the Golden State Warriors, sitting at 7. It's up to 7 with juice. So you want to try to get the 7 if you can. Lay the 7. Obviously, as I say, 7 in basketball is a key number because it's when you hit that 3-score threshold. So it's when you stop intentionally fouling. 59% of tickets, 89% of the cash coming in on Golden State. So the money is coming in on them, and I agree with it. I think it's stronger than the other play. The money is coming in stronger on them. They're playing against Memphis, and what we got with Memphis, I just think Memphis is the more they're the more inconsistent team here, man. And Memphis, they just crushed Dallas, and they put up 132 points in that game against Dallas. So I think they actually look too good right now with the way that they finished the season with a win like that, even though they lost the last couple of games. They played competitively against Denver and Minnesota, so I don't think they're going to get knocked for that because those were good teams as well. As I mentioned, Memphis is without, I forget the guy's name, one of their better defenders, although the rest of their guys should be here. I think John Morant is playing, but I think that kind of hurts them defensively, to be honest. Gives them a little bit more on the offensive side. Memphis is more of an offensive team. I think Golden State is the more complete team here, and they're still the more experienced team. I mean, Golden State is a team that has the pedigree, even though Memphis has been in and around the playoffs. Memphis coming up that huge win, and now they have to travel to the Pacific Coast for a late game, which when you're a team in one of the Eastern time zones, that kind of fucks with your biological rhythm, man, when you have to go out to the Pacific Coast. And they were just in elevation not that long ago in Denver, too, so their travel is actually worse as well because Golden State is just playing on the West Coast, and they've been on the West Coast for a long time now, with their last road game being in Phoenix. And before that, it was in LA. Yes, they did just go to Memphis and beat Memphis on the road not that long ago. But I don't know if there was that much misleading about this win. If you go and look at it, I mean, it was the game was statistically pretty close going both ways there. Golden State outplayed them a little bit. And I don't think that's not going to be the case here. I think people are going to look at this and see, oh, Golden State didn't finish well. They just lost to the Clippers in their last game. That's what everybody saw. They lost 3 of their last 5. Losing to San Antonio doesn't look good either. So I think they're going to get knocked a little bit more for how they finished the regular season. But and those are games that they needed to win because they were trying to avoid the play-in. And now here they are not able to avoid the play-in. But I think they get a good spot here for all the reasons I just said. They're in a bit of a bounce back spot here. And I think the line just looks too big, honestly. Like the public isn't all over the Warriors here, even though they do have the names. They got Curry. They have Butler now. So they've had a bit of time to build up some chemistry with Butler. Butler, of course, does have playoff experience as well, so that's fine. As far as that's concerned, I think that's fine as well. He's not going to be like a deer in the headlights or anything like that. I don't know what else to say about it, but yeah, the public, I think, might look at this line, see the teams have similar records, and they're both pretty good teams, and think this line looks a little bit too big, and look at how they finished the season, and maybe want to jump in and grab the points. But I don't think that's the way to look here. I'm on Golden State. Let's go to Major League Baseball, and then I will get out of here. I have a few plays. I'm kind of limiting myself a little bit. Arizona and Miami. I'm going to go on the under in this game. Under 8.5. You can find it at around -105. You got Merrill Kelly pitching for Arizona. Both teams were off yesterday, by the way, so that's part of this handicap as well. That means both bullpens are going to be rested coming into this. Even though I know Miami's bullpen is not good, Arizona's is decent. You're going to need both teams to be scoring in this game, though. And of course, Miami's offense is pretty bad. So I think that's all fine. You get the rested bullpens. Merrill Kelly off to a terrible start, no doubt about it. 7.2 ERA. He's a bit of an older guy now, 1.6 whip, but you got to expect him to bounce back a bit from this. I mean, his career numbers are significantly better than that. Last season, he had a 1.17 whip, which I think would indicate his 4.03 ERA was a little bit high. I think his whip indicates it should have been lower than that. Good strikeout walk ratio last year. Of course, it was a limited season for him because he was hurt. So again, he's trying to work his way back from injury, but I think we're going to see him get better, bounce back. And if you look at what he's done so far, he actually did well against the Cubs at home, even though he did walk 4 guys, so that wasn't great, but he limited the damage to 1 earned run, only 3 hits. That wasn't that bad. Cubs were a good offense, too. Then he got smoked by the Yankees. I mean, the Yankees, very good offense as well. And that was in the Bronx. I don't know if we can really take that much away from that. And then he kind of started bouncing back, man. I think he's trending in the right direction here with a decent win not a decent win, a decent start against Baltimore. I think he did get a win, actually, excuse me. The decision's over here. Only allowed 2 earned runs in 6 innings, and that one only 3 hits. 2 walks, still a concern. The walk number is too high. He has more walks than strikeouts. But again, I mean, that's not really been his MO. So I think that's going to kind of progress back to a mean as well. I don't think he's going to continue to walk more than he's striking out. He's a pretty good pitcher, and he's facing the weakest lineup that he'll be facing so far. Baltimore is not a bad lineup either. So he's stepping down in class to face his Miami offense. And somehow Miami has never seen him before. None of their hitters have ever seen him before. So that's an advantage to Merrill Kelly. As old as he is, somehow this offense has never seen him in a live game environment. So I like Kelly on that side of things. And then Connor Gillespie is pitching for Miami. He's a young guy. And I mean, he's not a power pitcher or anything like that. He throws in the mid to low or low to mid 90s, basically, or low 90s. One of his breaking pitches is really his best pitch. A lot of movement on, I think, a slider, I think is what he throws. He's an okay pitcher. He's done decently to start this season with a 1.14 whip, 3.86 ERA. This is only his second season in the majors. Last year, he didn't make any starts with Cleveland, but his numbers were decent out of the bullpen last year, except his walk numbers need to come down. But this year, he's got a 12.5 strikeout walk ratio, which is not bad. 11 hits allowed in 14 innings. So the fact that he's allowed 2 home runs is kind of jacking up his ERA, probably more than it even should be. He's got 5 innings in 2 of his 3 starts. His last start wasn't as good, but it was against the Mets, who had just seen him in the previous game. So that was a little bit of a disadvantage to him, because when a young pitcher who's unknown faces a team for the first time, they usually have an advantage because the hitters don't know what to expect. But then if they immediately face him again, then they just saw him, so they know what to expect. So that explains why that happened. I think he's in line for a better game here. And against Arizona, if I can bring it up, Arizona, I believe, has never faced him before. Yeah, because basically nobody has faced him before. So you have a game, both starting pitchers are complete unknowns to the starting hitter. So I think that's an advantage to these pitchers early on, because they're both decent pitchers and maybe better than they look, especially with Kelly's ERA so far, which I think is he has numbers that are a bit misleading as far as what he actually is so far. So we'll go under in that game. Henry, what's up, man? Thank you, sir. Hopefully I'm not getting too, I mean, I'm very autistic and I'm just jumping all over the place here, but Seattle is having to go to Cincinnati. These teams were both off yesterday as well. I lean to Cincinnati in this game. I'm just not going to quite get there with it. I think Lodolo is the better of the 2 starters. I mean, you got Castillo's good, but Seattle's a lot of their pitchers do a bit better at home than on the road, because Seattle has like the most pitcher-friendly park in baseball, and they're used to pitching there. Now they're having to go to the most hitter-friendly park in baseball. My only hesitation is that Lodolo actually, even though he's been really good this year so far, and he's a good pitcher, Seattle, I mean, the one guy that's seen him, Arozarena, has really destroyed him. 4 for 6 with 2 homers and a double, so 2 strikeouts as well. So I'm going to stay away, although really it's still an advantage to Lodolo because the rest of the hitters haven't seen him before. Luis Castillo against the Reds, I mean, he's off to a good season as well. But going to this environment, maybe not as good, although he's held him to 286 average. It's not that terrible. 776 OPS, a little bit high. It's not going to be something I'm actually going to play, but I have a slight lean to the Reds in that game. Let me see. As far as the total is concerned in that previous game, I'm going to try to get this done, man. I usually talk about every baseball game, but I'll talk about everyone that I have at least a strong opinion on, and maybe I'll skip a couple of the other ones. Let me see here. So the under, I am on that under in that Miami game, wherever the hell that game is. Where is it? That total has actually gone up from 8.5 to 8.5 juice to the over. So I don't agree with that move. 69% of tickets, 76% of cash on the over. Hopefully that kind of turns around a little bit before this evening when we get to the game, because I don't like the market disagreeing with me, really, though I pretty much totally disagree with that on San Diego last night and got that one right. So the market does agree with the Reds, wherever that is. They have 91% of the cash and only 65% of tickets. Seattle's sitting at a road favorite price base. They're minus 110. So you can get Cincinnati maybe at a slight underdog price or right around minus 110. I agree with Cincinnati in that one. As far as, Washington, Pittsburgh, I don't really have much of a read on that one. San Francisco, Philadelphia. Verlander does have good numbers against Philadelphia. I would hesitate, though, as I said, because Verlander is so old now and he has not been getting it done this year. So I'm going to take a wait and see approach with Verlander. I mean, he's obviously not the Verlander of even a few years ago at this point. So Luzardo is the younger pitcher here. Obviously, it's not even close. Luzardo might be the better pitcher at this point, man, because he is a good young, pretty unheralded pitcher because he was on Miami for a while, but he can definitely throw hard. He can fool hitters for sure. So I think Luzardo might have a little bit of an edge here, but I think his numbers against San Francisco are actually not that great. Let me see. Yeah, he's allowed in 33 at-bats, a 303 average and 788 OPS. So he hasn't done that well against them either. So, I mean, potentially an over might make sense in that game. I mean, the total's just kind of sitting around where it is. The money is coming in on Philadelphia, driving that line up. So the money seems to agree with Philadelphia. I don't disagree with that. Boston, Tampa, I mean, my lean would be to the under in this game, but I don't know if I trust Walker Buehler, man. I mean, he's coming off a good start, so he's trending kind of in the right direction here. He did well against Toronto, but again, as I've said with him, he really hasn't been good since he came back from that surgery a couple years ago. He wasn't off to a good start this year prior to that. Tampa's never seen him before. The only Lowe has ever seen him, and he's 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. So Buehler may have a bit of an edge against the hitters for that reason. I mean, the Red Sox are going to be looking to bounce back from that awful game yesterday where they lost 16-1. Absolutely pathetic. Pepio, 3.3 ERA this year, but 1.5 whip. So he's been putting a lot of guys on base so far. He's been too wild. He's walking too many guys. His strikeout numbers have been good so far. I do expect him to continue to do well, though, because he throws so well. He's limiting the damage. He allowed 3 home runs in the last game, which kind of skewed the results there as well. So I think he's going to bounce back from that. He's got good numbers against the Red Sox in 31 at-bats, only with a 226 average, 669 OPS. So I think the under would probably be the best way to look in that game. I don't see much of anything going on there, except the line is actually moving up on the 8.5. And I guess the one question mark here is Tampa Stadium actually an over stadium this year, because they're playing in Steinbrenner Stadium, the Yankees spring training stadium. So I don't know if that's the case or not. Oh, thank you, sir. I don't think I am a ball knower. I appreciate that, though. Thank you, man. I don't think I know ball that well. I mean, I know like how to like read markets, handicap games, or whatever. Next up is another play for me. I'm going to lay the money line with Baltimore in this one. I mean, I wouldn't disagree with an over in this game either, but I think Baltimore is the right way to look here. Both of these teams were off yesterday, I believe. Cleveland at Baltimore, but this is Logan Allen pitching for Cleveland. So, I mean, both bullpens are going to come into this rested, even though Cleveland might have the slightly better bullpen if they get their act together, because it was pretty good last year, and a lot of those guys are there. Logan Allen, he looks good with a 3.6 ERA, but his 1.8 whip is terrible. He has not been good this year. He has more walks than strikeouts, which I know was the case with one of those other pitchers I already mentioned. Not in that under game that I'm on, though, I don't believe. But Logan Allen is putting way too many men on base, man. He's giving up more hits than innings pitched as well. He's almost putting 2 men on an inning. I mean, that's not good, especially when one of your games was in San Diego, which is a pitcher-friendly park, even though I know their offense is good, and the other one was against the White Sox. This is not impressive for Logan Allen. I mean, he's a young pitcher, but he has not been good since he's been in the majors. I don't trust him at all, and Baltimore has seen him before. Where's Baltimore? Baltimore against him, 18 at-bats worth, but they have a 333 average and 1,151 OPS. So when Baltimore has faced them, small sample size, but they've done really well against them. So I don't think Logan Allen is going to do well in this one at all. Charlie Morton on the other side, yeah, I mean, I know he's a really old guy, but he kind of he's definitely a smart pitcher, and he's done pretty well in his old age for the most part, surprisingly well. Actually, he was decent on the Braves up until last year, I believe. His ERA this year is terrible, obviously, 8.78, 1.88 whip. So people are going to look at this, and no way anybody's going to want to lay a favorite price with Baltimore. How could you do that when their starter's ERA is almost 9, and Logan Allen on the other side is a 3-something ERA? Well, I think this is a lot less of a mismatch than that makes it look. Morton, 17-8 strikeout walk ratio is nowhere near as bad. So even at his old age, he's still striking guys out at a pretty crazy rate. He's just giving up too many hits and too many walks right now. So he's got to keep that in check. But I mean, he's had 2 starts on the road so far and faced Toronto, Boston, Arizona. I mean, I know Boston hasn't been hitting well, and that was his best start, basically with 10 strikeouts. But I mean, these are not easy games to be pitching, really. And Arizona on the road, very difficult pitching environment there. So I think Morton's going to start turning it around a little bit and get a little bit better. I mean, last year he wasn't terrible. I mean, 1.32 whip, certainly I don't like it, but he's definitely better than his numbers look this year. And against Cleveland, he actually has good numbers. I'm going to have to try to make this quick, man, before I have to get out of here. 51 at-bats where he's got a 19-4 strikeout walk ratio against him, a 216 average allowed, 665 OPS. So Morton actually has good numbers against Cleveland, and that's where we're going here. They're up from -130 to -148, even though it looks like the money is coming in on Cleveland, which worries me a little. I disagree with that. 64% of tickets, 96% of the cash on Cleveland, but I'm on where the money move is. I'll be on the money line there. Let's keep going. Try to get this done. Yankees, Kansas City, Walker and Fried. I mean, I think this sets up well for both pitchers. Walker actually historically is good against the Yankees. Fried hasn't been seen that much by Kansas City, and I think when he has, his numbers are good, so an under actually might make sense there. But I hesitate a little bit just because you don't know what you're going to get out of these pitchers really in the Bronx with torpedo bats and whatever. I mean, you're kind of playing with fire there. Atlanta, Toronto, Schwellenbach is definitely the better pitcher over Gaussman, so I would lean to Atlanta in this game, but his numbers in a short sample against Toronto are actually pretty bad, and Gaussman's numbers are actually bad against Atlanta too. So with this total being that low, 7.5 with not a lot of wiggle room there, maybe the over actually makes sense there, even though I'm almost never going to look towards an over in a Schwellenbach game because he's so good at this point. But his numbers against Toronto would give me a little bit of hesitation on him in that game. But I do still lean to Atlanta in that one. Probably the best way to play that would be Atlanta because I would trust him over Gaussman with both pitchers not pitching well against the opposing hitters. Detroit and Milwaukee. Milwaukee got hammered by Detroit last night, but I mean, Skubal was pitching for Detroit. He's their ace. So Milwaukee couldn't handle him. Milwaukee was returning home from a road trip, so it was a bad spot. This sets up as a much more positive spot for Milwaukee. The problem is it's Quinn Priester on the mound, and he's a terrible pitcher. He doesn't have any history against Detroit, though, so Detroit might be a little bit of at a disadvantage just because they've never seen him before, but Priester is such a bad pitcher. There's no way I can actually put my money on that. Jack Flaherty is probably the better of the two pitchers, but he is the more familiar pitcher, so in that respect, he does have a disadvantage. Milwaukee does have the situational edge in that it's their second home game since returning home, and the return home did not go well, so they should bounce back. We're going to stay away from that. Mets in Minnesota, I mean, McGill and Ober are both fairly good pitchers, so they both have bad numbers against these opposing lineups. Ober, as we know, as I keep saying, is also terrible early in the season for whatever reason. Then he tends to start turning it around. Over might make sense. Ober in an over game might make sense in that game, just because the matchup doesn't really look good for either pitcher to me. We'll stay off of that one as well. A's, Chicago. I mean, this is no longer in Sacramento in that ridiculous hitters park, AAA park. So I think that the under makes sense here. Springs has limited pitching against Chicago. Chicago's offense sucks, and they haven't been good against Springs. Sean Burke is completely unknown to the A's, I'm pretty sure. He's a young pitcher, basically nobody has seen before. Hasn't been that great, so I have a little bit of hesitation here, but I think the under does make sense, and both offenses are quite weak. Next up, I am going to be on an under in Houston, St. Louis. Neither of these teams played yesterday either. No, they did. Excuse me. They did play yesterday, but I think they limited their bullpen usage. With Sonny Gray pitched. Oh, that's right. I won on Sonny Gray yesterday. He pitched deep into the game. I think saved St. Louis's bullpen a bit. Framber Valdez, I think, stayed in the game for a while as well. So the bullpen's not in terrible shape coming into this game. And Hunter Brown is pitching for Houston, and St. Louis has never seen him before. So he has an advantage. Like I always say, these young pitchers and these hitters have never seen him before, they got an advantage, and he's off to a nice start. He's starting to turn into a pretty good pitcher as of like midway through last year. He's really getting it together after a rough start to his career. 18-3 strikeout walk ratio this year and only 11 hits in 18 innings pitched. He's doing really well so far. 2 games on the road, although I know one of them was against Seattle, and they are in a very pitcher-friendly park, but I think that sets up well for him. Eric Fetty has a 1 whip so far, so that's not bad either, although more walks than strikeouts is a little bit alarming, but he's been almost unhittable, allowing only 7 hits in 15 innings. So that's good, but he's got to get his wildness under control. But against Houston, 23 at-bats, where he's held to a 217 average and 628 OPS. So we're going under in that game. And the market on that one, let me see. Where's the market at? There it is. It looks like the total is actually gone up a little bit. Less juice on the under. 60% of tickets, 96% of the cash on the under, though. I agree with the under in that game. And then we got one of the big games here. I'm going to skip Anaheim and Texas. I mean, Patrick Corbin, he shouldn't even be in the league. So, I mean, Kikuchi does better, I think, against Texas. Corbin actually isn't that bad against Anaheim, but I would look to fade Corbin basically whenever he's on the mound, either by taking an over or his opponent's team total over, anything in that regard. The Cubs, I think, will be in a bounce-back mode here. I mean, Imanaga is the way better pitcher over Vasquez. The money is coming in Chicago, so the market read is on Chicago there. I think they will bounce back. Imanaga, good numbers against San Diego, too. Problem is Vasquez has good numbers against the Cubs as well. And under could be the way to look as well, but both bullpens got fairly used last night, so that gives me a little bit of pause. Maybe a first 5-inning under, but you really have to go under a low total there to do that, so I probably would not want to do that. I think the Cubs is the best way to look in that game because I would trust Imanaga way more than Vasquez. And then finally, before I get out of here, I am on the under in the Rockies and Dodgers game. I mean, not a lot of bullpen usage last night. Ryan Feltner is basically the only Rockies pitcher you can trust. 2.81 ERA, 1.19 whip so far, 16-4 strikeout walk ratio. Nice numbers so far this season. Hasn't really faced any daunting lineups. Certainly not like the Dodgers yet, but pitching, he mostly pitches in Coors Field, man, and this is not in Coors Field, so I think he's going to do better outside of Coors Field, and he has a huge sample size against the Dodgers, 79 at-bats. I know the 12-12 strikeout walk ratio is a little bit bad, but a 190 average allowed against the Dodgers, a very strong lineup and a big sample size. He does well against them, and a 550 OPS, so Feltner has actually done really well against the Dodgers, and Landon Knack is pitching for the Dodgers. He's a young guy. He usually just gives you an opener. I know his ERA is terrible this year, 10.38 over a 2 whip. All of that is terrible. I understand that. But it was really all just one bad start at Washington. So I think he's going to bounce back from that. Throughout his career, he's been good. He just doesn't give you a lot of innings. So he'll probably go with an opener approach. But the Dodgers bullpen is good enough. And Colorado's hitting is so bad that I think whatever the Dodgers do there with Knack giving them a few innings should help them out a little bit. And then their bullpen should be able to finish the game off for them. And Knack has allowed an 0-for-7 clip against the Rockies historically. So that's going to do it, man. Those are my plays. Say Tower Gang Toad on Twitter, patreon.com/Tower Gang. Thanks for hanging out. Peace, man.